Arsenal have lost to Manchester United in the FA Cup. It's a massive damning moment for Mikel Arteta and a huge boost for Ruben Amorim. We're going to break down all the goals and what this means for both clubs. Let's just start off. An overview has to be that this is Arsenal's competition. They're not going to win the Champions League. I can guarantee you that. They're not going to win the Premier League either, in my opinion, but they are a little bit closer in that competition than the Champions League. The FA Cup and the League Cup are the two competitions that Mikel Arteta can dig himself out of a mini hole that I think he has found himself in recent weeks. He has thrown the philosophy of Arsenal Football Club, whether it's Arsene Wenger or all the managers before him, of dynamic, adventurous football, a little bit of flair, charisma, energetic football, has been thrown away and discarded for something that Mikel Arteta has formed into his kind of philosophy of success, of being pragmatic, of being a little bit sterile to try and limit the opposition. And if that philosophy is now at Arsenal Football Club and they're not in the FA Cup, they got absolutely smashed in the League Cup by Newcastle, they're basically out of it because their record in Newcastle is absolutely terrible, then what's it all for? I think Mikel Arteta, this is one of the worst moments in his time as Arsenal manager. He's had a pretty good ride, in my opinion. Getting this Arsenal side to compete with Man City is no small feat, and getting them back into the Champions League as well. But now is a time where you have to buckle up and beat Manchester United. They're very beatable. And obviously when it went to extra time, they had so many chances. And you can't blame Mikel Arteta if Declan Rice, Kai Havertz misses the chances that he did. You can't blame the manager. But I believe that the idea of belief, the idea of adventure, the idea that we can go out and have courage against Manchester United, it stems from the manager. It's like Gareth Southgate at England. Not one player for England when they played Spain in the final of the Euros believed they could win it with Gareth Southgate and his philosophy. I'm sorry, it's just the way it goes. If Sir Alex Ferguson isn't a great man manager, Manchester United aren't by default successful as they are. And it comes from the top. Mikel Arteta is saying to Arsenal in the last few months, we have to be defensive, we have to be shrewd, we have to be tight and cautious as a side. And that's not how you go out and beat Manchester United in an FA Cup tie. It's not. And a Manchester United side has got so much talent. And they're there. You've seen them in the last few months. They're willing to seize an opportunity, especially against the big sides. Big performances against Man City, big performances against Liverpool. I actually think they were really good today. They rode their luck. And if you just look at it at the point of view, it's like a 3 month, well, it's been 2 months really for Ruben Amorim. Lost a load of games. And the wins for Ruben Amorim have been absolutely outrageous. We have to talk about them in a minute. But let's just start off with, obviously, the first goal came in the second half. The first half was very, very tight. It was a bit of a dry game, to be completely honest with you. Some unfortunate news about Gabby Jesus. Obviously got injured, tracking back, trying to take Bruno Fernandes out. He tried to bring him down on the edge of the box and kind of a bit of a professional foul. Madly, the referee completely bottled so many decisions. The Kai Havertz penalty dive was absolutely embarrassing. And even from the first half, I thought Madly had an outrageously bad game. And the stature of Arsenal versus Manchester United, one of the most historic fixtures in English football, completely ruined, completely spoiled by referees that are ill-equipped to referee these standard of games. And these are just the facts. I'm sorry. Ultimately, Gabby Jesus fouled Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes was throwing his boot around, livid with the decision, but it unfortunately injured Gabby Jesus. In the second half, Bruno Fernandes made up for it. Gabriel, I don't know what he was doing, high up the pitch, loses the ball. Garnacho plays a great ball on the counter-attack into the feet of Bruno Fernandes. It's bobbling. It's almost a half volley, and he caresses it into the corner of the net. It's an unbelievable finish. I've not been a massive fan of Bruno Fernandes. I don't like the way he carries himself. But in this Ruben Amorim system, he's like the marshal. He's guiding this Manchester United side off the ball. He talks a lot to players around him. You can see it when you watch Manchester United play. Him and Ugart have a nice little connection. Him and Kobbie Mainoo. It's a nice little trio that they have in the middle of the park. There's no question about it. And it's an outrageously good finish. So many players will sky that. That came to Kai Havertz's feet. It's going into Rosette, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's a great finish. Delot ruins it for Manchester United, which it could have been a 1-0 kind of result for Man United if Delot hadn't been sent off. He'd been having a poor game all game, in my opinion. No need for the reckless challenge that got him the second yellow, and it gave Arsenal a bit of confidence. And they score from Gabriel. The ball's bouncing in the box. a classic kind of Arsenal lumping it in the box, and he scores for fair play. Again, going back to the Kai Havertz penalty situation, diving around Harry Maguire, absolutely not a penalty. It's disgusting. And I think on some level, Kai Havertz represents everything I don't like about modern football. Flimsy, doesn't really operate in a single position, lacks leadership, goes through games, doesn't take responsibility, lacks cutting edge, lacks any kind of aesthetic quality, where I sit there as a football fan all my life and think I want to watch Kai Havertz play football. And yes, he's got a bit of technical ability. Yes, he's performed at the highest level as this kind of athlete that kind of moves around the pitch and kind of does things and operates. But that's as far as it goes. He's nowhere near. He's nowhere near a footballer I'd pay to watch. I'd rather watch someone from Tamworth, the lad up front for Tamworth. I really would, because Kai Havertz, shocking. Diving. He's an absolute embarrassment to modern football, in my honest opinion. I have to say it. But then Odegaard misses, and it's like, these are the moments where De Bruyne scores that, Steven Gerrard scores that, Patrick Vieira scores that. And Odegaard, for me, had a really poor game. I know he had a few flicks around the corner, and he chipped the ball into Martinelli. He should have done a little bit better with in the first half, but you have to bury the penalty. It's a good save from the United keeper, who had a pretty decent game by the looks of things in the second half. But ultimately, your big man, Saka's not there. You have to score the penalty. You have to put this Man United side away. You have to do it. Crazy. Goes to extra time, and obviously Kai Havertz misses another penalty, but there were chances for Arsenal to win it in extra time. You're looking at Declan Rice. He had a free header. That was in normal time to win it, a free header. Declan Rice on his left foot. You're talking £100 million player, a midfielder. Frank Lampard would have scored a hat-trick today. Steven Gerrard would have scored a hat-trick today. And you're looking at it thinking, I know he came off the bench, didn't start the game, which I'm not quite sure about. If it's a big enough game for Odegaard to be starting, particularly with his kind of form and injuries or illness in the last few weeks, Declan Rice has to start. It's over Moreno, who I thought was ineffectual, missing big chances. Sterling came on and actually was really dangerous. I'm glad to see Sterling back. He's a player that scored hundreds of goals, been in the Premier League, operating at a very high level for 10 years, doesn't get anywhere near the respect that he deserves. And he actually did change things for Arsenal. He took Arsenal up the pitch. He was a threat for Martinez to go out and kind of deal with for anyone on that left-hand side once Manchester United had 10 men. It's a beautiful story. Kai Havertz misses his penalty, and Xerxes steps up with including myself, slagging him off ruthlessly since he joined the Premier League. I'm allowed to do it. I'm biased. But you look at him doing that, and even there was a couple of moments he's nutmegging players and doing all sorts when he came on. It's nice to see. A little note on Manchester United. Ruben Amorim has built something there. There is something there. I can see it. The 3-4-3 is working. Now, we can debate if it's working to the extent where Man United can go and win the Champions League in 5 years. Can they? I still wouldn't say so. They need way more players of a world-class nature coming in. Same with the Premier League. But if we're just defining Manchester United as turning around this season, can they go for the FA Cup this season with the 3-4-3, the aggressiveness of the midfield? Harry Maguire's fine form. Well, I'm not going to say Højlund had a good game. I thought he was shocking. But Garnacho was good today. Mazraoui, another good performance. They've got something there. They do. They've got a nucleus of a side that's aggressive, that looks like it's playing in the image of the Sporting Lisbon side that we saw for so many years with Ruben Amorim. And I think he's building something there. I really do. Whether it's enough to be really competitive, that's the classic Manchester United question. Let's just finish on Arsenal. If you made it far, make sure you subscribe. But this is the competition they've won more than any other side. They're at home. They've started, the two centre-backs, maybe the two best centre-backs in European football for some people, certainly as a partnership. It was Saliba that actually got nutmegged and embarrassed FIFA Street Style by Xerxes. Timber, Raya, Jorginho, Odegaard, Declan Rice came on. You're thinking Kai Havertz, Martinelli, Gabby Jesus. Lots of experience, lots of quality. And Man United put out a very strong side as well. Skelly, I thought, was fantastic. But you're at home with that much quality, with the fans cheering you on. The FA Cup is the best thing that I think Arsenal could have won this season. Legitimately, they're going to get smashed by Newcastle United, in my honest opinion. And they're now out of the FA Cup. Is it regression? Is it stagnation? I think it's a little bit of both. And I actually think Arsenal have got a long way to go. They had to be bold in the transfer market. They had to be ambitious. They had to take a leaf out of what Nottingham Forest did when they got promoted. I mean, it sounds crazy, or what Chelsea are trying to do, even though there's a little bit of an unethical side to it for a lot of fans. Arsenal had to be a little bit bolder. They had to be the biggest guys in town in the transfer market. They had to be there with the money on the table for big players, for Victor Gyökeres, for Alexander Isak, for Bruno Guimaraes, players like that, to take them to the next level. And they haven't done it in the summer. I think they're really going to regret it based on results like this. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you made it this far, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. I'll see you very, very soon.